Hi, Tony.
Hello, Elisa.
No, it's Dee tonight.
Oh, okay. See, hey,
That's okay.
all right. So let me get this right then. So I can just say from city clerk's office, right?
Right.
So I'll just say city clerk's office, D.
D Sills. There you go.
All right. Just wait for the rest of the guys to come in
Yeah.
here.
We got Dan and John on here.
Now, yeah, okay.
You see them.
Today is the 27th.
7th. Right.
Public safety. Yeah. Dan? Dan, you're from DPW, correct?
Comptroller's office.
I'm sorry, comptrollers. We got John Schulteis. Engineer. I'm just trying to get all this stuff while I'm seeing people before we start this meeting. Comptroller's office.
Yes.
What is your title there, Dan?
Administrative account clerk.
Administrative account clerk for the comptroller, okay. All right, engineer. We got D Sills. Okay, let's wait for the rest of the guys to come on. Then we'll get this going, D.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
I know we were just in a meeting at City Hall, so or get together. So I know.
Oh,
I saw
okay.
most of them had to get from City Hall back to the
back to the house.
yeah.
Okay.
Right. Oh. Yes. 12401. Correct. Well, fuck you too.
Again, and welcome everybody. We're just waiting for a couple more members of the Public Safety Committee to join, and then we'll get started.
Eight four five 338 4292. It's a GE refrigerator.
Somebody's giving out their phone number.
Would that be in your file about the paperwork on refrigerators?
Good afternoon, Jeffrey, or good evening, Jeffrey. What was we waiting on? I don't know who 64882 is.
No, well, he's muted right now.
All right. There's Jeffrey. I'll just again just wait. All right, let's get out of that meeting. Let's get out of that. Gotta run here. So I'm just waiting for Michelle, Rennie, and Michelle and Rennie.
Okay. There's Rennie.
Hey, went Rennie.
Mhm.
So just wait for Michelle, I think.
Yep.
You know me, I'll catch back up. It's, I don't think 4882 is Michelle.
Good evening.
You didn't break any traffic laws, did you?
Is driving 80 miles an hour backwards down
Oh.
Broadway against the law?
Nope. If you go forward, it's breaking law. You're going backwards, you're okay. I know Michelle was leaving there, so I would give her another minute or so to see if she's gonna come on. She didn't tell me she wasn't, so.
All right. And Tony, so will it be okay if I take a minute just to let folks know what's happening with that the
Visitor.
development here?
Yeah. After I do my speech or whatever and introductions, I mean, I can just divvy from the, you want to just go first?
Sure.
All right, so what is, you're gonna have a discussion on what is it in regard to? I forgot.
It's the there's the new development
Okay,
been proposed at the old jail site on Golden Hill.
goals development, okay. Golden Hill. All right, I'll just put that right on the top.
Yeah, and I just want to note that, you know, there will be some traffic issues, and so we're going to be looking at those closely and
Okay.
let folks know when the next engagement meeting is so that they can show up for that.
Okay, no problem. I'll put your first thing on the top here after I do my spiel. Let me see if Michelle's here.
Not yet.
Not yet, huh? Something, well, you know what? I know she'll be coming on and then as soon as she comes in, I'll just introduce her, whatever, because, you know, people's times is valuable. So, and D, you just let me know when you start recording and I'll start going through my
Yeah,
spiel.
it's recording.
All righty. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining the City of Kingston's Common Council at our Public Safety and General Government meeting. Today is November or October 27th. I'm sorry. Before we begin, we would like to go over a few guidelines to help us navigate this system as efficiently and respectful as possible. We ask that members of the public and press remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. The moderator for tonight is a member of the City Clerk's Department, Dee Sills, and she reserves the right to mute anyone who unmutes himself. Council members and city staff will control their own mute button. Good practice would be to mute yourself if you are not speaking to avoid background noise and feedback. If a council member or staff wishes to speak, they will raise their hand. I will call on the members by stating the names clearly for our audio listeners. All of our meetings are recorded. Both video and written transcripts will be made available to the public on the city's website. Although we do not have public speaking tonight, you can sign up to speak at our at our monthly council meeting. Please email a list attendee to sign up by noon the day of the meeting, or you can submit written comments for the record by the same deadline. The email address is emtinti@kingston-ny.gov. That again is emtinti@kingston-ny.gov. You can also drop comments off at the drop box located outside the side door of City Hall. We also encourage you to reach out to committee chairs or your ward's representative at any time. City Clerk City Clerk employee Dee Sills is the moderator for today's meeting. She has a right to lock and pause the meeting to eject anyone who has behaved inappropriately. Lastly, at tonight's meeting, we have in attendance myself, Tony Davis, Chair of the Public Safety and Public Safety and General Government and members, Doug Coop in Ward 2, Jeffrey Ventura Morel, Ward 1, and Rennie Scott Childress in Ward 3, and I'm still seeing if Michelle Hurst and Ward 9 will be joining us shortly, hopefully. And also in attendance and city employees, Ed Norman, Superintendent of DPW, Dan Quiswell, who works administrative account clerk in the comptroller's office, City Engineer John Schulteis, And am I missing anyone? That is it. Okay. Thank you for your patience during these difficult times. And on behalf of the Common Council, I wish you and your family good health. And now call this meeting to order at 6:38. So first thing on the agenda, and I'm going to divvy from the agenda that you might see. And the first thing is going to be have a discussion about the proposed development at Golden Hill. So Alderman Rennie Scott Childress, if we want to take that over.
Yes, thank you. I don't mean to have any discussion, just want to let folks know that the county, of course, has been looking at developing 160 units of housing at the old jail site on Golden Hill. And it pertains to public safety because that will, of course, affect the roads and streets up in that area. So the developer that the county chose, Penrose, has held a series of stakeholder engagement workshops. These have been open to the public. They're going to hold another one in November. That one's going to be virtual. The other ones have been person to person. And so as we're looking at this, our goal is to make sure that the developers engage as they're supposed to in a significant traffic study. That'll help us really understand both what issues could occur and what kind of traffic flows and traffic use we currently see to try to make sure that everything remains absolutely safe up in that area. So the next public forum is going to be on Wednesday, November 3rd at 5:30. It's going to be virtual, and you can easily find the link to this if you just go to Penrose. Let me see, what is it? Penrose.com, and then you can put in there a search window, Golden Hill, and that'll bring up the information that'll tell you how to join in for that. So like I said, the crucial issue there is going to have to do with traffic in the area. And so anybody who's interested should definitely take part in that meeting on November the 3rd. Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome. So again, that's a virtual meeting on November the 3rd at 5:30. And if you don't got that email, you forgot it. I believe you said it was Penrose.
Right, penrose.com. So that's PENNROSE, like Penn is in short for Pennsylvania.
All right. All right. Okay. Thank you for the information, Rennie. The next item on the agenda is limited parking on Wine Coop. And this was submitted by Alderman Tollerman. And I believe Alderman Tollerman is not here, but I believe City Engineer John Schulteis. Is there anything that you want to speak on in regard to this, John?
Good evening.
Good evening.
This was a request made by the alderman due to a business in the area that has a frequent turnover. And I looked at it and agreed it was an appropriate location to locate one parking space with limited time parking. So
Okay.
My recommendation is approval of this. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Where's the parking?
Hold on, Doug. Hold on, Doug. I think I had to, Doug Coop, Alderman Doug Coop.
Sorry,
No problem.
John. What's the specifics on the one parking space? Is it a business? Is it a physician?
Yeah, this would be the parking space closest to the Foxhall Deli on Wine Coop, at the corner of Wine Coop and Foxhall Avenue.
So it's really to facilitate in and out from the deli. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't make it specifically reserved to that business, but yes, it's likely that the patrons of that business would be the ones using this most often.
It's like parking on Emerson for in and out to Terry's, for example.
Yeah, similar limited time parking.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? All right. Am I doing it right, Randy? So no other questions. So then if I don't see any other questions, I'm going to just read the proposal, the committee report, add to 390-100 schedule 17, limited time parking, 1 parking space on south side of Wine Coop. I believe it's Wine Coop Place, right? Or did they change it to Wine Coop Lane? It was Wine Coop Place when I was growing up on that street, and closest to the intersection with Foxhall Avenue. Do I have a motion? Rennie Scott Childress, second. Jeffrey Ventura Morale, these 3 initials here. All in favor, show the thumbs. I don't see Michelle here yet, so Michelle is absent. And so we have 4, we got 4 yes votes and no nay votes. Okay.
Tony, Michelle I did invite her, but she's still not here. She asked to be included, but she's still not here. She might be having technical difficulty.
She's not 7497, but I see that's mute, so.
No, I don't know if that's Kevin waiting to come on
So,
from
okay,
the CAC.
no problem. Well, so when she comes in, we will have her vote. So right now, that's 4 yes votes, no nay votes. Okay, the next item on the agenda is parking restrictions on Broadway. And this was a proposal by Superintendent of Public Works, Ed Norman. I know Ed's here. So Ed, welcome. Can you want to speak anything about this?
Nope, just want it done.
Okay, all right.
So this will be a fairly easy one. What I'm looking for is on Broadway, a timed no parking situation so that DPW can pick up the trash and recycling and do maintenance to the bike lanes on Tuesdays from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. This will allow us to get out there early morning. And why I'm going 6 to 10 is because of our summer hours. Naturally, we start at 6 a.m. Fall and winter and spring hours are 7 a.m. So ultimately, I'm looking for a 3-hour window minimum to get out, pick up the trash and recycling, get the sweepers out there, do whatever we have to do. As it sits now with the bike lanes, it's very difficult to get out there. Getting a lot of complaints from my staff that are picking up the garbage. There's no place for the truck to get out of traffic. Have vehicles trying to pass them on both sides of the truck when they're trying to drag the trash out from the curb, creating a lot of head-on situations in multiple lanes. So really, this is coming from my staff who's saying, help us.
So again, let me get this right. So it'd be Tuesday to 6 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Yeah, Tuesday's our normal trash day for Broadway corridor from downtown to uptown.
And it would be parking restrictions on both sides of Broadway. Is that what we're saying?
Yes. Yep, both sides of Broadway, so we can get in, get it done, and get out without putting people in harm's way.
So it would be, you're calling for no parking on, let me get this, no parking on Broadway on Tuesdays from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Correct.
I just wanted, because I got to write this up and committee report up. So no parking on Broadway on Tuesdays from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Correct.
I see Doug. Doug, you have a question?
Yeah,
Doug?
just clarification, is this the entire length of Broadway?
Yes, from downtown, from East Strand, West Strand, Dock Street area, all the way up to basically Albany Avenue. The roundabout.
So that's going to affect, that's going to affect a lot of motorists, isn't it? On a given day, the way they're coming to work. And not that I think it's a good idea, but I'm just wondering how we're going to manage, communicating all this. And I think this got the potential to upset a lot of people, don't you think?
Sure, everything has potential to upset people. My concern is when my guys are out there picking up trash, or my staff, somebody's not paying attention and they're out in the lane, they have to literally carry the trash from the curb through the bike lanes, through the parking lanes, into the driving lanes to load it into the trucks. So I'm with this 4-hour open parking here. We can keep the trucks in, off out of the main roads and basically give them the freedom to, get it done safely.
Right. Anything else, Alderman Doug Coop? No. Alrighty, I see. Welcome, Michelle Hirsch, Alderwoman from Ward 9. Michelle, you had your hand up?
Yes.
All right, go on.
Thank you,
Yep.
Chairman Davis. So, hi, Ed, thanks for
Hi.
coming. So I'm just coming in late. So, I'm just curious, I have the high school in my ward. So like, have you been in communication with the high school about this? And how does this affect, parents doing drop-offs and things in front of the high school? The bike lanes aren't in front of the high school. Then we have Kingston Catholic School, down right at the top of Broadway where it starts heading down to the Rondout. So.
Right. No, we have not been in communication with the schools yet for this. Figured first and foremost, this would need to be addressed to the council, to see if it was even an option. I'm getting pushback from my staff on this. Basically it's all about safety. So
I appreciate that. And I understand, but we're talking about all of Broadway, which doesn't have the bike lane. So I don't,
okay.
So.
If you have another suggestion, I would be open.
Okay, so that's why I'm just trying to get these questions, answered right now. So, so that
if
we
we
can figure
wanted
that
to
out.
limit it to, let's say, Pine Grove Avenue for the stretch from Pine Grove up to the traffic circle, just where the bike lane is, that would be most helpful. The thought process on doing the rest of Broadway is to try to keep it better looking throughout the week.
I'm all for better looking, but we also want to make sure we aren't disrupting other, situations
Right.
like schools and drop-offs and things like that. So I think there needs to be a conversation with the school districts and what that's going to look like.
Right.
Thank you.
Anything else, Michelle?
I'm good.
All right.
I'm just not in favor of moving on anything other than the bike lane area tonight. Thank you.
And Alderman Rennie Scott Childress?
Ed, isn't all of Broadway, pretty much all parking spaces on Broadway are metered? Is that right? Or are there any where they are, non-metered and people could leave their cars like overnight for a long time?
Well, there are areas, we do have the parking lots. So in the areas where Michelle's concerned with, is you do have the parking lot next to a race. You've got some parking along City Hall access. There are side roads there. Downtown.
But I'm asking, it's all metered parking, right?
Yeah, most of it's metered parking, yes.
Yeah, so in that, people should be moving their cars every so often all along Broadway. It's not like people can park their cars there now and leave them overnight for 24 hours or something like that.
No, they have to pay the meter.
There's certain sections of Broadway that there is no parking as you go head down the turn around the bend heading down to Kingston Catholic. There is no parking on either side of that part of Broadway. I believe there is no meter parking in front of the church or the school and St. Mary's School down there. It is some sections that don't have any meters and very few sections in here. My question is that has it been issues with lower Broadway in that and with the service that we've been doing for several years and, on the sections of Broadway that don't have the bike lane? I haven't heard anything myself from people concerned about that they couldn't get, couldn't pick up the trash. And
Right, yeah. There, other than the occasional fender bender or something happening along there, or the biggest thing downtown is backing up traffic when the trucks are there because there's nowhere. If cars are parked, it's a narrow road. People are, at a standstill behind them until they get through to certain corridors.
Well, that's just like, again, I mean, they should respect that just as they respect the school bus and the people,
Right.
not supposed to pass the, school bus. That's just what's the name. I'm on the same path as Alderwoman Hirsch, and I would be in favor of, starting from Pine Grove, Broadway, going up where the bike lane is going to be an issue going forward once that bike lane is open. But I believe the rest of Broadway just remain the same. So would be my recommendation here. I'm assuming that's why we're having this discussion.
Right, yeah, and I'm open to that. I mean, ultimately, the worst part of this is going to be in that new area along the bike routes.
So anybody else have any questions or any comments or questions, I should say? I'm just looking through here. Mr. Garstein. Yes, I will. Okay. Bye-bye. And D, can you hear me? D,
Yes,
can you send the link to Dan Garstein? He cannot log in. If you could resend him the link.
oh, okay, all right. What's his phone number? I don't have that.
I don't know if he wants me to say that all over the.
No, never mind. I'm gonna mute you guys and go to my email.
All righty. So. Is everybody here? I'm trying to. There we go. Now I'm getting better. She's muted everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. So she's going on there again. Any other discussion on this? Anybody want to make a motion on it? I guess we have to have a discussion, right? Rand, am I doing this right now? A motion
Oh,
to
we would need to
discuss?
have a motion in order to discuss.
Yeah, can I have a motion to discuss?
Well, I think somebody has to make a motion to propose. I move that we establish a no parking zone from Pine Grove Avenue on Broadway, from Pine Grove Avenue to the traffic circle every Tuesday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Is that right, Ed?
That's correct.
There's the motion.
All right. I think I have to have a second. So a motion is Rennie Scott Childress, second is Jeffrey Ventura Morel. And then I motion to have a discussion on that. All right. Everybody to discuss that? Show your hands. Anybody against discussing it? All right, so we're here discussing that. So Ray has now, no?
Yeah, I just was, I think that it's important for us to start with thinking about safety for our city workers with the new changes on Broadway there, especially hearing what Ed said. I mean, we're a little bit late for actually starting, but before the bike lane gets going and all of that, I think it's a great idea to be proactive here because we can always pull back from it. I can't think of many, if any, businesses along there that are open by 10 o'clock in the morning. So, that would be something to check into. That would be my only reluctance. But at this point, I'm very much in favor of this.
Yeah.
Doug Coop?
I often drive along Broadway around 9 o'clock on that stretch, and there's not a whole lot of people whole lot of cars that are parked there at that hour. So I think this will work. As Rennie says, if it doesn't, we can always back off on it and reconsider. And also, we can also, if it works out well, we could later on extend it to the other end of Broadway too. So I would favor this.
Okay. Michelle Hirsch?
So on the communication, I was just saying that, Corporation Council was copied, parking was copied. Like, has anybody else weighed in on this from the city? Like, is this everybody, like, this is it, just
Who
DPW
else would
suggestion
be-
and that's it? And
Yeah, who else would you be looking for?
well, it says parking, it's the mayor, I just want to know if anyone else has weighed in, that's all. So,
This is pretty much strictly operational for DPW, so I don't really think there's a need for the tax assessor or any others to get involved.
well, I didn't say the tax assessor, I said it was the parking, the parking people. So, and there's been any outreach to the businesses so that they know, like, has that happened at all?
No, this is right off the get-go, bringing it to your attention now to see if it's even feasible. And then once this, if you guys vote on it and say, yeah, okay, we can go to the next step, I would have my ordinance officer put out mailers, contact all the businesses along the corridor, explain to them what's happening. It's there. Everybody along that route's going to do things business as usual. They all put their stuff out to the curb either the night before or the morning of early. None of it is containerized. There's no totes along the Broadway corridor. So it's all just stacked on Broadway. And that makes it a little bit more difficult for us to get it. That's why we need the extra time and, be closer to it so the guys aren't walking through traffic multiple times.
And then the bike lane will still be open?
Yes. Yeah, it'll just basically what we're going to do is be utilizing the parking lane itself to drive the truck, down through that corridor. The biking lane itself will be open, except for when the sweeper will be out there sweeping the lanes. And then it gives us the opportunity to do some maintenance on all the new landscaping that's out there on the sidewalks. The way they have the storm drain set up with, it's got inlets where the trees are planted. So every so often we have to go through there and, kind of clean out the drain areas so they don't get blocked up, so we have to.
So would the sweeper go out every Tuesday then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, every Tuesday between the hours of 6 and 10, it would be out there on that bike lane.
Is it usually, normal right now, that route takes that long to get through?
It takes basically about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So if we're not, I'm giving us extra time just because of the time change from summer hours to winter hours. Summer, we're starting at 6. So hopefully by 9 o'clock, we're off the road. 7 o'clock start the rest of the year, by 10, that 3-hour clock has, it gives us our time. If we're only doing that certain area of Broadway from Pine Grove to the traffic circle, we should be able to get out of there even faster yet. So I'm hoping that even if we start at 7, by 9 o'clock, we're out of there on that stretch anyway.
My question is, if we're only going to do Pine Grove to traffic circle, do we still need to have it from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m.?
Well, I would still want minimum 6 to 9, but I just figure giving us that, because we still pick up in the snow, so that gives us a little bit of extra time, and from that 7 to 10 window to get out there.
I would be in favor of trying it, not, since if we're shortening the route and keeping it by 9, because it's going to affect businesses then.
Yeah, I'm just thinking from Pine Grove up and what businesses are there at that time on Tuesdays, and that might be open that time. And I can't really think of any. Might be a coffee place on the, up there. I think in some places like a little deli, whatever like that, that might be affected by this. And so I would be in favor, again, if we're going to do a shortened route, I just looking at, and I don't want to inherit the business that might be open at that time and trying for them to be able to have customers to park. So, I'm hoping that you guys can get in and out in the 3 hours. If we were to do 6 to 9 a.m., that would be 3-hour window, and they would be able to open up their businesses by 9 a.m. That's what I'm saying. Do you think that could work?
There is side street parking there as well. Every intersection, you have the side street parking there, and you have the Sea Deli parking lot. So there are areas to get off the street there.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, I want to just make sure if your employees are talking about the safety of it. Do you think they could get this done in a 3-hour window from that stretch of from Pine Grove to the traffic circle.
I would hope so.
Okay.
I won't fully commit to that, but due to weather or whatever circumstance there might be.
Mhm.
But that's better than nothing at all. So if you
Well,
want to,
I mean, it sounds like it's less than half of what was originally proposed, so.
yeah. Yeah, I err on the side of caution. That's all.
Well, we have a motion on the floor, I guess, no parking on Broadway and between from Pines Grove to the traffic circle on Tuesdays from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's what was proposed and second by Rennie and second by Jeffrey. And we would need another motion if we want to change that.
Well, I have a question.
Yes, Doug, go on.
What if you guys get through there in front of a certain, let's say, but you're done by 8:30, and a motorist comes by and say, "Oh, they're gone. I'll pull in here and park." Does that make that person in violation? Can he be ticketed? You know, I mean, if I saw your truck go away and I wanted to go and get a cup of coffee, I'd have no problem. Just, all right, they're gone. I would just park there. But am I at risk for doing that?
Once it's posted, yes, you would absolutely be at risk. But don't forget, we have a garbage truck that goes through there. Then we have a recycling truck that goes through there, and then also the sweeper. So if somebody sees the garbage truck go through there and they say, okay, they're gone, I'm going to park now, they're not thinking about the other two vehicles that are going to be coming along.
Okay, yeah, understand.
And I do see, and I see what you're talking about, Ed, and I was just thinking of garbage pickup. I forgot that, you know, they go down, the garbage truck goes down, picks up, and eventually the recycle comes through and picks up. And then if you're going to have the sweeper on Tuesdays, that is 3 vehicles that's going through there. So I understand what you're talking about. Michelle?
Yeah, and then I mean, are you coordinating with parking enforcement? So then if somebody does pull in and, you know, park?
Yeah, I mean, Dan's here tonight as well to talk about this a little bit. We can be in, you know, communication, cooperation, however it may be with the parking enforcement to say, hey, we're out of there, or we're running late, however it may be. But more times than not, we are very lenient here in the city of Kingston, as you all know, as far as parking regulations. So again, my full task here right now for this is for the safety of the staff of DPW. It's not about parking tickets or towing out of the way for the garbage trucks. It's to keep my guys in one piece.
I'm concerned about coordination and that we do it correctly and, you know, efficiently. That's all, in all areas. So.
Yep. Well, Dan and I are on the phone.
This is always a concern.
Yep.
So
Dan,
again, go on, Ed.
Dan, if you want to speak to any of that, I mean, you know, maybe answer Michelle's question and how we communicate.
Yeah, Ed and I are in communication frequently, you know, but I think the 6 to 9 timeframe is good because the 2-hour parking on Broadway that's being proposed and that stretch starts at 9 a.m. So it'll kind of coincide with that, you know, it'll alleviate any confusion, you know, so, but yeah, I mean, we can be in contact. Our staff normally starts at 8:30 in the morning. But if there is a need for us to be in earlier on Tuesdays, that is an option, you know, that we can ask staff to come in additional hours and I'll be in communication with Ed if there's a problem or if it seems to be, you know, we'll have staff come in and enforce, so.
So again, Randy, you made that motion from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Would you be willing to modify, I guess, I'm assuming? Or do we have to have somebody else motion this? Because that's what's on the table right now.
Sorry, my button wasn't working. Anybody can make the motion
All right.
to amend.
All right. And Michelle?
Make a motion to amend the motion that's on the floor to modify it to close from Pine Grove to the roundabout from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Anybody want to second that? I will second it. All right. So we have two things on, or is that the one that's on that floor now?
Yeah, you have to resolve the amendment first before you go on to vote on the next one. You have to vote on the amendment first, right?
The one that you did.
No, the one that Michelle just
Oh,
said.
okay. So
So,
now on the
yeah, so
table
it-
is,
Yeah, just do we reduce the time frame from 10 o'clock to 9 o'clock?
all right. So the motion on the table now is no parking on Broadway from Pine Grove to the traffic circle or roundabout from Tuesdays only from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Any more discussion on this? Ready?
I think, trying to balance out everything here, I think what Dan was saying, since the no parking begins at 9 o'clock, the 9 o'clock limit makes some sense. That just would mean 2 hours when DPW has their 7 o'clock start time. So I think, Ed, if I heard you correctly, you think that would be enough?
I will give it my best shot. Yes. I mean, I can rearrange a couple of things, possibly change a route and, maybe have the sweeper go out early. I was trying to have it go so the sweeper goes after the trash collection, but if I put the trash out or the sweeper out first to get all the garbage off and then we do the trash afterwards, at least for the summer hours.
Okay.
Okay. So we're taking a vote. Any more discussion, I should say? Anybody else? So we're going to take a vote. The report again reads, no parking on Broadway from Pine Grove Avenue, I believe it is Pine Grove Avenue,
Yes.
Pine Grove Avenue to we say the roundabout, or do we say the traffic circle?
Yeah, you could say Albany Avenue is a.
Okay, to Albany Avenue on Tuesdays from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. All in favor? 5. Anyone against it? Okay, so I passes 5. So I will rate that up. And thank you.
Well, so Tony, that's the amendment.
Okay,
The amendment passed. So reduce
Alrighty.
10 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Now you have to vote, just to be technical, now you have to vote on the full schmear.
which
And you've
is,
already read it, so I think we could just call for the vote, right?
all right. So again, I'll read it again. No parking on Broadway from Pine Grove Avenue to Albany Avenue on Tuesdays from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Oh, okay, we're set. Thank you, guys.
Actually,
think
I'm
you
sorry,
guys-
just one more question. When will this go into effect? Sorry.
After you guys vote on it after council, right?
Yeah.
Well, we have to do some public,
The mayor
outreach.
has to sign it.
Yeah,
I think it'd be as soon as the mayor signs it, right?
Well, the full council will have to vote on it and then, but,
Right.
I think they're.
And at that point, I mean, if I have a good feeling about it, I would start having conversations with some of the business owners and people on Broadway. Just to forewarn.
All right. Any other questions on that one before we move forward? All right. So the next one on the agenda, Ed's got another one on the agenda. And I guess this is regard to as pertained to garbage removal and street cleaning. Did I read the wrong one the first time?
That was all part of the Broadway. So then there should be something on there for
Snow emergency routes. Snow emergency. I'm sorry. Yes. So in regard to restrictions pertaining to snow emergency routes. And Ed, you want to speak about this one? I know you sent out a map, or Dan sent out a map. One of you did.
Yeah, Dan sent out a map with a list of streets that are our current snow emergency routes. So again, we're proposing, well, little back history here. The last couple of years, we've had some issues with parking and the timeliness of the plowing and keeping up with some of these bigger storms. So what we're proposing now is to have no parking whatsoever on emergency snow routes. And by doing this, hopefully this will give us enough, it'll fasten or quicken the time that we spend on these routes so that then we can get into the secondary roads of the city quicker. Spend less time on emergency routes. If we can get them done in a third of the time or half the time, that'll free us up to then get into the other areas of the city. Again, because of our lack of personnel or whatever you might want to call it, time is questionable as far as getting the city plowed these days. So after thinking about it since last winter and everybody asking for, what can we do? At this point, this is really the first step, and that we have come up with here at DPW and along with Dan Quisnell, as far as how to maybe move forward and try to do a better job, get the city cleaned up quicker.
Dan, you have anything to add to it before I ask for questions?
Yeah, so yeah, the idea is like we said, for more efficiency from our staff, right? So like Ed stated, it's to try to get to these snow emergency routes first. That's where we would dispatch our parking enforcement officers first, and hopefully we'll work with KPD and also tow from those areas first. So that way our plows would have, no parking, no cars in their way on these routes, and they could get them done quicker, like Ed stated, and to get into the neighborhoods quicker to try to clean things up. But that's the plan. Like we said, this is just one proposal. We have a multitude of ideas on how to better things, but we think this would go a long way, and especially with the new mapping of the Broadway corridor, this would help us get through that area quicker.
Any questions? Michelle Hirsch.
Hi, yes, thank you. So everything on this map is definitely, are there other snow emergency streets, or these are all of the snow emergency streets in the city of Kingston?
Yes, these are just current snow emergency routes. I think there's 29 streets on there listed. Of those 29, 9 of them are really the only ones that may have any impact on parking issues. Most of them, some of them have no parking already, on either side. But mainly there was, I think, 9 that may have some, parking issues that, whether it be in a more condensed neighborhood, people without the possibility of a couple of homes without driveways, what have you. So, yeah.
All right, so then when we're looking forward to say, we approve this, and how far ahead are we going to be able to declare a snow emergency so that people can get their cars moved? I mean, we have elderly people that park on the street that then have to get to a lot or get somewhere and then be able to get back. How much time are we going to have, people going to have for coordination and, to do this?
Right. Typically with a storm, we try to pre-plan. So, naturally, if we have in a forecast something coming in, we would try to get that out to the public through the communications department. Just, we've, say 7 p.m. tonight, a snow emergency goes into effect, we would be advertising that earlier in the day, throughout the day. So to give people several hours to get it moved. And also when the change actually happens, we usually give some kind of time. And I know Dan is, he has a little leniency with that as well before we start ticketing.
And then would say we have a 3-day snow emergency, but you are able to get these routes cleared in the day 1. Are we going to keep these, cleared the whole 3 days, say?
If it's an extended storm, naturally we have to keep plowing them. I mean, as long as the snow's building, we have to plow. And these routes are, they're basically for the get in and get out of town routes. They're the routes to the hospitals for KPD, the fire department. These are to have routes. So we always have to be on them. It's a matter of how quick we can get on them, get them cleared curb to curb, then we can move on to other areas. So,
Right. I mean, but historically in the past, we've had snow emergencies be extended a couple of days after a storm because.
right, for
finish.
cleanup, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But
on
the
this,
mayor, yes, the mayor can also, or myself can also, pull back the snow emergency to say, okay, it's no longer in effect. It doesn't have to stay that full time event.
okay. So in a case like say Broadway and Greenkill where we do have bike lanes, will you also be going in and doing snow removal? Because where are we going to put all this snow? Like,
Right,
is that
yeah.
going to be a priority?
That will have to be a priority now. I mean, I don't think we can plow Broadway or Greenkill without doing snow removal each occurrence.
Okay. Thank you.
Ed, my question, I got a couple questions. I know, there was some questions about last year when we had that one snowstorm, and I rode with you and seen firsthand, what the men and women of DPW had to do in regard to emergency. But then I believe we put in effect a longer time period, I believe, for people to be able to remove their cars from one side to the other. And how do you guys think that works? From what I heard, it worked better, that we gave them a more window of an opportunity for people to plow up their cars and move it to the opposite side. And did you guys in the DPW feel that worked last year?
Only in certain areas. I mean, there's a lot of, non-compliance. So, and Dan, you can speak to that as far as any extra time we allow. This is our opportunity to try to change something. We know what we had the last couple of years. Obviously, I was in front of all of you last year, I think in January or February, answering a lot of questions. This is my answer to that. If something has to change, we have to start somewhere. Obviously, what we were doing is not working up to what you guys expect or the public expects. So something has to change. This is my first thought.
All right. Well, I know that Dan has stated that, you guys had come up with some other, few ideas, and I wasn't sure if this was the only idea or if some other things that you guys had thought about doing.
Dan, if you want us to take it, I mean, for me, we spitball some ideas back and forth. We sit around a conference table with a few people and say, what about this? What about that? We look at the maps, we go through the list. We try to look, we either drive out or go to Google Earth and, run the streets to see, where's the parking issues, who has driveways, who don't, who are the people who don't have driveways that may not have places to park. So, there's a lot of thought that goes into this. But me right now, knowing that winter is coming, we know what the big storms did to us last year. We are limited on personnel. So the only way I can do a better job is to become more efficient, get my guys on the roads quicker, get them off the roads quicker, off the main roads, to then fall back into the secondary neighborhoods. Now, right now, that's my best shot.
So my devil advocate is going to be, all right, so what about for the cars that don't move, even on emergency? I mean, that was a concern. I mean, I was out with you, Ed, that we would see cars that didn't move to the opposite side, and they're getting plowed in, or that's slowing down your employees doing what they need to do. And how's that going to change on the snow emergencies for people who don't move their cars? I mean, I know you told me that the only one who can actually get those cars towed is KPD. Yes, so what's going to be the difference? People don't move their cars off the emergency snow routes that might not have a driveway or whatever. And what's going to change? I mean,
Dan, you want to take this?
Yeah.
Are we going to really enforce this? And, the removing of the cars, especially those ones that, are frequent flyers, and you guys probably know who they are, that don't remove the cars at all during these snow emergencies. But again, they're just plowed in from what I see when I drive around my neighborhoods, and they're still there, but they're not towed away. And so what are you guys going to do in regard to that?
Yeah, so the concept behind this would be that the parking enforcement staff would, when they first go out in the storm, they would prioritize these routes. And then I could download a report back in the office and give that to KPD with all the vehicles, with what streets, what times, their license plates that were ticketed, and give that list directly to KPD, where they could then go out and tow the vehicles. We would have to rely on them. That's the way our charter set up, is KPD does have to do towing, but we can make it simpler on them by providing them a list with information. And we could do that relatively quickly, when we go out in the storm. Because like we said, of all the areas on this list, there's about 9 streets where we typically run into cars, that are parked illegally. But, if that continues to be the case, within the first couple of hours of a storm, I could get a list down to KPD to tow these particular vehicles.
So do you have any, someone's texting saying that the live feed's not working, if you could take a look at that, Dee?
Will do.
All right, Rennie?
I'm wondering, do folks who live on the snow emergency routes, do they already know that their streets are snow emergency routes?
I would venture a guess that they probably do. I mean, most of them are signed. So, if this comes into play, we're probably going to have to do more signage just to better educate and reach out to people, and, through our communications department, reach out via social media, maybe some, phone or radio ads, however they take care of that. Our ordinance officer going out, reminding people. I mean, the first storm is always the tough one, and we always have to be out there reminding people. Educating is big. We do what we can do, but after the second or third storm, at some point you really have to take responsibility for yourself and do what you're supposed to do. And the only way this is going to get done is if everybody does the right thing.
Right.
Michelle?
So,
I'm sorry, Rennie, sorry.
sorry.
Go on.
So it seems like a letter could go out to all the properties along these snow emergency routes, just to make it clear to those specific folks to be ready, so that they're just forewarned. Because it seems like to me most people who live on these roads are almost all really busy ones anyway, and so I would think that those folks would already be aware that they've really got to get their vehicles off the streets when it snows.
Yes.
Michelle?
Well, yeah, I was thinking along the lines of what Rennie said about, earlier you mentioned about doing a mailer about parking on Broadway, and that this could be combined. I actually think it should go to all city residents, just so that we're really getting the word out.
Okay, I mean, that's a costly proposition as well, but I think the last time we did a mailer, it was about $7,000 to every resident.
Well, I think that we have to, do our best to get the word out, and so that we're not having to tow cars and ticket people, and like we just are just efficient, right? So
Right.
whatever
Well,
that, and
yeah.
getting.
Again, this is not a new concept. There's parking rules in effect. There are snow rules in effect. If people don't adhere to the alternate side parking, they get tickets, they get towed.
Yeah, but we also have a lot of new people moving into the community that may not have even lived here last year, during our winter. So it's incumbent upon us to keep educating the public.
Right. yes, and I agree. I think absolutely the education should happen. Just a matter of getting it together and getting it out there.
Mike, another question, Ed or Dan. So snow happens, cars are parked on these snow emergency routes, and snow starts coming down in the middle of the night or whatever. You declares, the guy, mayor or whatever declares a snow emergency. How long do the people on these snow emergencies, how long do they have to move their cars?
Yeah, I could speak to that. And so it kind of depends on the timing of when the snow emergency is called. So our internal policy is if the snow emergency is called midnight or later, we're not enforcing until 7 a.m. the following day, you know, giving people the opportunity to wake up and see that a snow emergency has been posted. But when a snow emergency is called earlier in the day, if it were to start at, say, 9 p.m., we give them at least 2 hours before we go out and start writing tickets. So, and we do include that in our communication. So if it says a snow emergency starts at 9 p.m., it will say that, you know, ticket enforcement will begin at 11 p.m. So,
And I think that's sort of, Ed, what I was talking about last year. I think we extended that time for them to move. So if that can be whatever included in that the communication, however that communication is, boom, you know, when it's no emergency, you're saying the cars have to move 9 a.m. they had to 11 a.m. or 7 p.m. they had to 9 p.m. or whatever, 9 p.m. they got to 11 p.m. or vice versa, 7 a.m. they have until 9 a.m. to get their cars shoveled out, snow emergency, and get their car removed. I just want to make sure we let them know and we give them enough time, these people in the city, enough time to be able to get their car out before it's like, oh, okay, I might get a ticket. And I think that's what it was. It's like, oh, with this guy out and, you know, it's 7 a.m. and they're telling me I got to move my car and I'm trying to bail it out by 7:30 a.m. I think we need to give them enough time for them, a couple hours, be able to shovel out and whoever and get what they have to do. And that's the only thing. Michelle?
Well, isn't there a way to create some kind of snow emergency that goes into effect earlier? Because we're kind of defeating the purpose if we're going to give them a 7-hour window, right, to move their car. If it's snowing already, then we can't plow, right? Like we're kind of be in the same problem. So we're going to have the same issue. We have a storm that hits at night, right? And we're giving people time till the next morning. How are we going to plow efficiently? It's like, I feel like we still have the same issue.
Right. And Dan, that's a parking issue.
yeah, I mean, that only happens like if let's just say a storm, quote unquote, sneaks up on us, right? So we're anticipating an inch of snow and it happens to be a 3 or 4 inches, you know, that's when it would be called later in the evening. Typically when we, you know that there's going to be a significant snowfall in advance, they'll call it at a predetermined time, you know, and put that communication out. You know, the mayor's office, I believe, has been coordinating with Ed, you know, about the timing on that and trying to get it out as early as possible. But yeah, only in a situation, you know, where we think we're only going to get a little bit of snow and it happens to be more significant, is that going to come into play?
Okay, and then that we would do the robocalls as well.
Yeah, the communications office does that as well. Yes, and the text messages. Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, so I'm trying to, I got to write something up here and I'm trying to put how we're going to state this, because a lot of things are thrown off here. And I think they want to have Ed and Dan are looking at some kind of a report or communication in regard to the snow emergency. So I'm just trying to figure out, help me out with the wording on this. I guess I'm trying to say how I'm going to write this up because it's not written up.
I move that people get their dang cars off the road on these streets.
Yeah, that's the easier way to say it. But I mean, I guess, I'm just trying to figure out how to rate this.
I guess it would just be no parking on snow emergency routes during snow emergencies.
And per the list that you've.
Per the list attached.
Right, per the 29 streets or whatever it is. And
So that's just simple. No parking on snow emergencies. And again, to me, that seems vague. No parking. Again, on snow emergencies. When does that no parking go into effect is what I'm trying to think. And we're going to pass this through.
well, it would go in on the onset of the call of the snow emergency, and that's when you would then, if it's at a certain time. So it would be when administered by the administration.
And for the
you know,
duration.
I would keep it fairly simple, and then with the
So
good graces of-
no parking at snow emergency streets after a snow emergency has been declared. Right?
Say that one more time.
No parking on snow emergency streets per attached list after a snow emergency has been declared in the city of Kingston. Anybody else?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Say,
parking.
should it say for the duration of the snow emergency until it ends? Like, just be very
Yeah.
clear.
Okay.
And for the duration. I think that's good, Michelle.
So no parking at snow emergency streets per attached, right, which is on, and after a snow emergency has been declared by the city of Kingston. And what was that last part, Michelle? For the duration,
For the duration of the snow emergency.
for the duration of the snow emergency.
Tony, could I just suggest you change the word streets to routes? Because isn't that the
Okay.
technical term?
Yeah, snow emergency route.
So no parking on snow emergency routes per attached of the snow emergency has been declared by the city of Kingston for a duration of the snow emergency. Sound good? All righty, if there's any more discussion, not, can I go for a vote? You heard everybody
Well,
here? Yep.
I move that we adopt the resolution that you just read, Tony.
And so second. Coop. All in favor? Thumbs. Boom, 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 boom. Got that. Thank you so much, guys. See here.
Hopefully it doesn't snow before the council meeting.
Oh,
Yeah, we can only hope, right?
all right, so I got that attached. I got this one, and this is parking. I gotta rate that up. I think that one's no parking on Broadway okay. Thank you, gentlemen. I think that's number 4. Stop sign. Alderman Scott Childress, the next agenda item on the agenda. We're moving forward with this.
Yeah, well, John Schulteis is here. He and I have discussed this, we've had a series of specific events on Washington Avenue, and residents along there were concerned about them perhaps being caused by the removal of the traffic light at Pearl and Washington. And so I was hoping that we could find some kind of way, and one of these wrecks was quite horrendous, where a car was totaled, and the car that hit it actually was going so fast that it ended up turning over and sliding down Washington Avenue. Ironically, that same car that was totaled had already been hit like 2 weeks before. It was parked on Washington there. And so the other incidents were not quite as massive, but still, there's a whole series of incidents that have occurred right there. Plus, that's very close to the intersection with Marius Street, where a lot of school children cross over to go to George Washington School. And the parents whose children cross there report that a lot of cars do not pay attention to the flashing yellow lights, which alert motorists to slow down to 15 miles an hour. They also report that there's been an intermittent crossing guard. So last year, for example, there was a crossing guard for several weeks, and then there wasn't any for a couple of months. There appears to be a consistent one now, but you know, these two things raise some issues there. So I understand from John Schultes, he can explain that stop sign would not probably be the best option there, right, John?
Yeah, that's right. I think when I first saw this request, it was suggested that the city should consider installing stop signs on Washington Avenue at Marius. And you and I had some discussions about why that was not advisable, and some potential alternatives, although none of them are particularly easy to implement on Washington Avenue. It is a long straight street between Linderman and Greenkill is about 1,500 feet. And Marius is near the midpoint of that. And we know that, vehicles do reach their highest speeds in this general area. As far as installing stop signs, no, it would not be recommended at that location.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of data, John, would we need in order for there to be some, for us to take some kind of remedial action
Right.
in there?
Well, as most people are aware, we have a citywide speed limit of 30 miles an hour. Usually in this situation, I suggest placing having KPD place the portable speed sign at the location for a period of time, a couple of weeks. And that device produces an output file that we can view and see if there's a pattern of excessive speeds associated with a given location. I caution, usually when we have this request, people think, oh, a large percentage of vehicles are speeding in front of my house. And then when you place the speed sign, you find, well, the average speed is 22 or 24 miles an hour, something like that. And maybe 2 to 4% or even exceeding 30 miles an hour. So what people perceive as a speed problem often is not a violation of the citywide speed limit. There's other considerations here, is that it is, there's a school zone in effect here already. We did some signage upgrades recently in this area to try to draw more attention to the school zone. I don't know if there's an enhanced, beyond the crossing guard, if there's an enhanced enforcement presence during the school hours. I don't know if that's a regular part of the KPD effort, but those would be the places that I would suggest starting. And the speed sign provides valuable information back to us. It might show, oh, there is a I haven't deployed it yet though, and found, oh, everybody's going 35 miles an hour. I'm not aware of any location in the city where that's the case.
And I also, we were talking about one of the issues with the speed meter is that when people see the feedback,
Right.
it often causes them to drive slower than they might normally. So we talked perhaps about renting those the hose type meters, which are much less visible.
Yeah.
And that might capture better.
It would. The city does not own that equipment.
Mhm.
And there'd be a cost to do so. We know that when the speed sign is deployed, some people reduce their speed by a few miles an hour, maybe up to 5 miles an hour. But factoring that in most locations, I think you'd find 85% of people are between 25 and 30 miles an hour at this.
John, let me interrupt, please. I got a family emergency, so I'm gonna have to drop off here. Okay?
Uh-oh, hope everything's okay.
Right. Take care, Doug.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Dee, can you mute Doug? Thanks.
I'm sorry. Go on, John.
Yeah, I was just, I was done with what I was saying. You know, the speed feedback sign has not been deployed on Washington recently that I'm aware of. You know, it might be appropriate to do so. Here, I've got a list of locations that others have asked for it. And it can be hard to do during the winter with plowing, though.
All right, so will you take care of asking KPD to do that, or shall I do that?
I'm happy to make that request.
Okay, yeah, so it's right around 65 Washington, kind of across from the Hudson Valley Senior Citizens Residence. Okay.
Yep,
So-
will do.
So Rennie, at this time, then basically we're removing this. You're just going to get the study and see what happens
Right.
with that data. All
I'm
right.
fine
So
with that. I see Ed Norman wants to say something.
go on, Ed.
Yeah, hi. So a little bit of discussion was had about a crossing guard out there for, hit and miss times. I know on the other side of the same school where Washington Ave, or no, was it Wall Street? So you have stopped intersections on that side of the school, and you have a crossing guard. So why not have a crossing guard on the opposite side where there is no stop sign and it is 30 miles an hour? Where the current crossing guard is now, I mean, you're coming from a stop sign in all directions. The speed of the vehicles is probably no more than 15 miles an hour at best. So why are they focusing on a crossing guard there, yet not one where there is potential danger?
Well, just to clarify, we believe there is a crossing guard being deployed to Washington and Marius currently. That may be a recent change. For a period of time, I believe it was not. But as of today, Chief Tenty told me that one is regularly assigned to Washington and Marius.
Okay.
Yeah, that is true. But the dilemma has been that over the last year, we've seen crossing guards come and go and be there and not be there. So that's just a question of, how consistent will that be? But I think for now, there is a crossing guard, like you said.
Which is good. I mean, again, if there's a crossing guard on Washington Avenue, and that's good news. And I know originally this communication has said that it wasn't. That I'm glad to hear from the police chief that and that there is a crossing guard there, and because that's a busy road, and that intersection for the elementary school and students and parents who have to walk to school, and we got to make sure that they're safe crossing that road. So Randy, we're going to remove this then from repairs, and you're going to just follow up with the data and stuff like that. And if something needs to be changed, bring it back to our committee.
Are we just
Will do.
supposed to vote?
Thank you.
Take a vote
Oh.
anyway, though?
No, nobody made a motion on it.
Yep. Well.
And so it can, and since I sent in the communication, I think I have the power to say.
Alrighty, the last new business we have on here is handicap sign and request by, again, Alderman Tollerman and John Schulteis. I'm assuming you have no concerns with this.
That's right.
My only concern is that I haven't received anything from Alderman Tollerman in regard to the parking placard, and which has to be with this communication and to show that it's a valid handicap parking sign. And so since I don't have that, I don't know, do I put this back on old business, or do we
Right.
pass it and go on,
What I
John?
saw- Yeah, I believe I saw where that application was pending last month. I don't know if it's been approved and a placard number assigned. So I don't know if you can advance it to the committee with the understanding, I mean, to the full council with the understanding that that number would be provided before the council meeting.
Yes, I could do that. And Dan is giving me a thumbs up. Yes. So I will just put in here and request. I'm just gonna write this out. Request. I don't think you'd have me a communication, John, right? And request handicap parking at 27 South Prospect Street. All right. Any discussion on it? Can I have a motion and request handicap parking at 27 South Prospects? Michelle Hurst, second. Jeffrey Ventura Morel. All in favor? Everybody's an aye. Anybody against it? I don't see any against it. Thank you. I'll put that in the communication. That was all for new business. The only old business I have, again, we'll start with, and Michelle, I'll go with you first. It's still 22 Mary's Avenue.
Yeah, we're waiting for a Mary's Avenue speed study. So I didn't get anything from John, the city engineer yet. So.
All right, so I'll just keep it on old business.
Can we ask him?
Oh, John Schulteis?
Is that back yet? I haven't been up there in a couple of days to see if the sign was still there or not, the speed sign.
Oh, can you confirm it was in place?
I saw it,
Okay.
but now we've got all this construction there, so I
Right.
don't know how accurate that's gonna be.
It should be still. No, I have not seen the output file from that, so, but I'll request it.
Okay, all right. And then, so and in the same regard, we just made this Mary's Ave no parking anyway as a snow emergency route, so.
So we're still keeping on to those old business?
Shallow and tie together. So yeah, I think just, keep it on old business.
Okay. And now the only other thing on here then for old business was the my thing in regard to the crosswalk flags. I know it's getting late in the season, but I did get a cost of an estimate from Ed Norman. It would be $290 per side to erect this flag crosswalk. And so I knew we were waiting last month and for me to get a figure how much it would cost to construct. So it'd be $290 for each side of the intersection. So, and I believe Doug Coop had suggested a pilot. Hasn't heard from me about this, and I know I got heard from Doug after last month and Rennie in regard to some locations that we could test a pilot. And so I'm not sure if we want to go forward with that. I don't think we can go forward with me, and we still have to go to finance because there's a cost attached to it. But we could pass it out of here and then send it to finance, right? If we pass it out of here. Go on, Doug.
You say it costs $580 then if we wanted to run a pilot at one particular location.
Correct.
And what does that consist of? 4 flags, 8 flags, 20 flags, plus a receptacle for them, or?
Well, I think the receptacle is part of the whole post that they would just drop the flags back in there, PVC cut out, drop it in there. They take the flag and go on the inside and just drop it into a piece of PVC to hold it there. And that, yeah. I guess we would have to have, some kind of thing that some signage that says, take this flag to cross this intersection or something to that effect. Ed and Norm, if you want to jump in. Ed?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we did. I did run the numbers on that. So yes, it would be the signpost, the breakaway. It would be a PVC tube with, I think I figured 3 or 4 flags. It might have been 3, just for each corner. So each side of the intersection. So 290 would give you everything you need from one side, and then the other side to be able to cross safely with flags going both directions. The thing that comes up is if people don't return flags, it's kind of useless. And people in this day and age, I mean, the flags are becoming more expensive. A lot of them seem to disappear frequently from when we put them up on the stop signs where the new stop signs are. We go back the next day and they're missing. So it becomes a maintenance issue that, who's going to be paying attention to this, refilling them, it just, I'm all for the pilot, try it out, see what it looks like, and we can go from there.
Well, I'd be in favor of moving it forward. Or what does it take, a communication to go to finance committee, or how do we move on this?
We have to
We
write it
need
up.
we need a specific place to put them, right? So what would be
Yeah, so it would have to be place and cross, what we would call it, cross and walk, pole and flag. Is that what it would call? We could call it, Ed?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a certain name for it. I mean, John Schulteis might have a little bit more on that, because I know he looked at that a little bit. But yeah.
Don,
just,
you here?
Crosswalk safety flag.
All right. So place crosswalk.
CSF.
Give.
I know I had suggested, and there may be others, but that intersection on North Front Street by the Italian restaurant on one side and the costume and antique place on the other side. I think you all know one. I mean,
mhm.
I'm in favor of that intersection as a pilot.
Yeah, it's pretty wide there. Mhm.
And because there's so much traffic, pedestrian traffic through there, we'll have a read on that pretty quickly, I would think.
So I'm just written up, request the manufacturing and placement of crosswalk posts and flags at, and do we know that address? Do we have to give a specific ad, or did we just say in the intersection of North Front Street?
What's the name of the rest of the?
Well, it's
Intersection of North Front and Green Street, isn't it?
it's Crown.
Yeah, that's
Crown, yeah.
North Front Street and Crown,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
So North Front Street,
Where Crown intersects North Front Street. So we're really talking about the crosswalk that goes across North Front Street and not Crown Street.
yeah. I said request the manufacture and placement of crosswalk posts and flags at crosswalk and from North Front Street, crosswalk at North Front Street and Crown Street.
Yeah.
And anybody, I mean, are we just gonna use, is people, we just in favor of one right now, just to test it, or do anybody have any other specific place that they were thinking about? I mean, what came to my mind when I was thinking about this was North Front Street and Crown. This is many times I've drove up there and walked down there, and just so nervous when people are walking across that intersection there. And I mean, I think we've tried DPW's tried putting the watch pedestrian little sign out there, and I don't know, that keeps on getting knocked down or misplaced, but I think, I mean, this is something to try, just to, again, about the safety of people in visiting our city. Michelle?
I would be in favor of putting one by the high school on Broadway.
Alrighty, so where are we talking about, Michelle?
I believe the crosswalk is corner of O'Reilly and Broadway. There's one there, and then
Alrighty,
By the pizza place.
yeah.
alrighty, so we would have two locations in different areas of Kingston to try it out. And you'd be easier to be able to police that one right there. Just hang out right there in the corner.
Sure.
So at crosswalk and at North Front Street and Crown Street, and what is that called? It would be the crosswalk at, is it West O'Reilly or East O'Reilly?
Broadway at West O'Reilly, West East O'Reilly.
crosswalk at Broadway and East O'Reilly.
Wait a minute, we're talking about crossing Broadway, right?
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of traffic that crosses, particularly students, crosses East O'Reilly Street or one of the O'Reillys. I mean, there might be more at that end going through that crosswalk than across Broadway.
My only concern about Broadway and East O'Reilly is that we do have a red light there. I mean, so it's if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, crossing at the thing, it's not going to, they're not going to need it there.
That's
And
true.
I mean, across down Broadway, the only section I would think about on Broadway would be Broadway and Andrew Street, because there is no red light there. So there is no light there, and people have to still, cross. That's the busy intersection with kids walking back and forth to the high school. And so that's what my suggestion was.
Yeah, and the hospital, there's, a lot of traffic.
Correct. So I would say Broadway and Andrew Street, crosswalk at Broadway and Andrew Street.
Okay.
All right. And do I have to put on here, Ren, the cost at a cost of $290 or $580, because it's going to go to finance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or do we just pass it here and then somehow they find out what the cost is? I don't know how this works.
Or do you put a referral to finance?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Just say refer to finance for.
All right, refer to finance.
For payment.
Somewhere you're going to have to identify the source of the funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we can talk with Tui about where to find the money.
Where to finance committee. Cost and $580. $500.
Was that it? I thought it was more like, or was it 598?
580. 290 each side, so 580.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Cost 580 and per crosswalk. So when it gets there, we'll know what it's cost about. All right. So again, I'll just read this back. Request the manufacturing replace and placement of crosswalk posts and flags at crosswalk at North Front Street and Crown Street, and crosswalk at Broadway and Andrew Street. Refer to Finance Committee. Cost $580 per crosswalk. Sound good?
Yeah.
Can I have a motion? Jeffrey Ventura Morel, second. Michelle Hurst, all in favor? Everybody's in favor? That was it for old business. Anything else anybody want to talk about?
Yeah, a meeting in November.
Our meeting in November?
Yeah, is it November 24th, which is the day before Thanksgiving? Am I right on that?
I thought we had a,
I don't know.
I thought we
When
had.
is the next meeting? Let me put it that way.
Yeah, didn't they move it to Tuesday?
We moved it to Tuesday, the 23rd, Doug.
Yeah, I've got it written down here for both days.
Yeah, I believe Lisa had brought that up with Andrea, and then we had a discussion. It was going to be the 23rd of November, the 23rd.
I'll just cross out Wednesday here. Okay.
All righty.
Good.
Gobble, gobble, gobble. Any other things? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Rainey Scott Childress, second by Jeffrey Ventura Morel. All in favor? Aye.
Yay.
This meeting is adjourned at 8:02. It's a long one for you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Good night.
Everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.